Okay, today we're going to tie a what's called the F-fly. So what did we say, Mike? Marjan Fratnik created this.
Slovenia.
From Slovenia, created this many years ago. So I've just got a size 14 big T, wide gap, dry hook in, and then just black 70 denier. And we'll use if you can see that. This is Big T's custom dubbing. I like his dubbing because it's real fine. Goes on real easy when you're creating a noodle, and he put some special color in there, little squirrel, put some squirrel hair in it, and gives you some nice texture and action to the to his dubbing. And then we'll just use a small copper wire as well. And then the other thing we use is just some CDC, so Trout Hunter. I'm going to use gray on this. A couple feathers, so depending on the size, if I was doing a size 12 or a size 10, then I may go with 3 or 4 base feathers, okay? And then in Big T fashion, he's going to have to start paying me for all these promos I'm doing on Big T. I add in another color, so just real simple. Nothing major here, but Trout Hunters, CDC, and I try to find the feathers that kind of match the size. I don't want to get too big, too crazy here. Again, if I had and I don't tie many size 12s anymore. I would say the majority of what I tie is 14s and 16s. And now I'll tie this particular fly all the way down to a size 20, which I really like. So if you're looking for that little bitty bug to get some action, so I'm just going to take and go ahead and do my best to tie in wire. I'll move it down just a little bit, and a little trick here, if you don't want to carry your wire around, which you don't have to, especially since we're going to put dubbing on this, is I'll just put a little bit of pressure and kind of pull this wire towards me. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. And when you do that, it holds it in place, makes it lay down real nice next to the side. Then we're just going to pull some of that Big T black dubbing. And I don't get real crazy on this. Now when old Marjan was hanging around, Mike, and tying this fly, he tied it with just black thread, or whatever color thread he was using. He didn't do any dubbing, and so I've added a little bit of dubbing on here just because I think it looks cool. So we're going to tie that around there, get it started. Again, you want a real thin profile on this. Don't get too thick.
Marjan was your grandfather, wasn't he?
Marjan, he was born a long time ago. And so now, I guess you could counter wrap that wire if you want to. Well, get that tightened up just a little bit there. You can counter wrap if you want to, but I don't know. I've never had a fish tell me that he didn't like the direction of my wire. So I know you're supposed to, but I don't really care. I found that. And just tie that in. And again, you really don't even have to use dubbing on this. If you do any research or history on it, you'll find that most of the time it's just thread. Now we're going to helicopter that out. But I think if you want a little life to it, right? So if you want to add a little life to your bug, especially if you get into them, put a little bit of a head up here. And I'm going to carry that back to about, I guess, a 2/3 mark. Now, there's a guy on YouTube, and I don't know who it is, but he ties an improved F-fly. And basically all he's doing is he's just trying to create a situation to get that CDC to sit up on it. And so what I decided to do is I would just do an improved, but I'm just going to use some Crystal Flash, okay? And I'm going to tie that down just a little bit. I like Crystal Flash. And then I'm going to come back and build a little bit of a head here and carry that back and kind of smooth that down, because it'll be a little bit of a pain if you don't when you get ready to start tying. Okay, and then I'm going to wrap around that crystal flash to set it up a little bit. You see there? And then I'm going to go ahead and come in just to about the back. I'm going to cut that off. So that'll make sure that that CDC sits up. Now, super simple here, especially if you don't have black thread in it, is just take you a couple of CDC feathers. And again, this was Trout Hunters. And Trout Hunters does a really good job of getting some nice thick feathers in. I'm going to line it up a little bit. I'm just going to lay it on top. I'm going to do a couple of loose pinch wraps here. And then we're just going to pull it down a little bit. And I'll clean that up in just a second. Put a loop in front. Another loop. Just to kind of hold that in place. Then clean that up. And now I'm going to come back with a secondary color. Again, just going to kind of tie this in. A couple pinch wraps, nothing major. Get it lined up. Okay. And I'm not looking for perfection here. I'm just looking for some variation on my bug. A couple of wraps around. One more here. Carry that down. Then we'll clean this up a little bit. Start building that head. And I usually have a pretty good head on these. Again, hadn't had a trout tell me yet that the head's not right. What about you, Mike?
I don't remember if I have.
Nah. There we go. Couple whip finish. Boom. Cut that bad boy off. And that is the F-fly. Now, if you don't want it as long, you could come back and you could do a little trim work here. You could take some of that down if you want, but again, what you see is very simple fly. Clean that up, put a little head cement on it. This fly will float all day. So, and I'm a big Loxa fan for CDC. I don't use Frogs Fanny. You can, but I'm not talented enough, and I'm lazy. So, I basically, you got that little bit of flash in there. You got some nice coloration in the dubbing, and the Big T dubbing. You work some greens, UV greens and reds and different colors in. And so anyway, put those CDCs on. Quick fly. I mean, if you're not running your mouth with your buddy, you can do this in about 3 or 4 minutes and just sit around and tie these all day long. But that'll catch some fish. So, all right, thanks.